Hey there, wizards, how's it going? Just arrived at the Leaky Cauldron. Don't be a muggle. Subscribe and turn on notifications to stay updated. During the darkest time of the Second Wizarding War, the Ministry of Magic was overtaken from within, leaving society at the mercy of Voldemort and the Death Eater's puppet government. It wasn't just the declared supporters of the Dark Wizard who took advantage of this situation. Many wizards and witches, full of prejudice, were living their lives peacefully. Meanwhile, Muggle-borns, half-bloods, and other marginalized beings, falsely accused and blamed for crimes, were captured, imprisoned, tortured, and even killed. The anti-Muggle-born propaganda, which widely accused them of stealing magic from true wizards, as well as conspiracy theories and denialism, were gaining more and more strength. And with the Ministry of Magic taken over, many things were changed. And so, the Muggle-born Registration Commission was created, which, according to the Ministry of Magic itself, was intended to better understand how Muggle-borns came to possess the secrets of magic. Obviously, at that time, they spread completely false research, supposedly done by the Department of Mysteries, which claimed that magic could only be passed from one person to another when wizards reproduced. Therefore, in cases where there was no proof of wizard ancestry, so-called Muggle-borns had probably acquired their powers through theft or force. So, to get rid of this kind of people, the Ministry of Magic formally invited Muggle-borns to come forward for a series of interviews with the newly appointed Muggle-born Registration Commission, led by none other than Dolores Jane Umbridge. Umbridge was not a dark witch, nor was she a Death Eater. She even denied Voldemort's return while she was the senior undersecretary to the Minister of Magic and the High Inquisitor of Hogwarts. Fortunately, her power as High Inquisitor didn't last very long. After it was proven the government used the media to mislead people and deny Voldemort's return, Umbridge was dismissed. But she remained at the Ministry of Magic without even being held accountable for her crimes of torturing students through her rather barbaric educational methods. During the period when the Muggle-born Registration Commission was in effect, Dolores Umbridge was in paradise. After all, she was already known for her anti-Muggle, anti-mixed blood policies and for the prejudice she showed against these groups. In the year 1993, Dolores Umbridge drafted anti-werewolf legislation, which made it almost impossible for people suffering from lycanthropy to find formal jobs, thus forcing many to live in extreme poverty without the minimum conditions for dignity. This contributed greatly to groups of people suffering from lycanthropy who were more radical, causing anti-wizard sentiment to grow, like Fenrir Greyback. As the head of the commission, Umbridge presided over completely theatrical trials, with the fate of the victims already decided before they even began, demonstrating sadism and psychopathic pleasure in seeing those she looked down on with such prejudice being punished. Alongside that, propaganda was a great ally. Booklets, posters, and placards were distributed en masse, warning about the danger that Muggle-borns could pose in a peaceful, pure-blood society. And this manipulation obviously extended to Hogwarts, which made student attendance mandatory and also required the presentation of a blood status record. This way, it would be easier to capture Muggle-borns and keep education shaped in the way Voldemort thought was most appropriate, modifying subjects like defense against the dark arts to dark arts, and making Muggle studies stop teaching anything real about Muggles. And yes, it became constant propaganda about how Muggles were filthy animals and deserved to be exterminated. Between August 1997 and May 1998, many Muggle-borns, half-bloods, or even enemies of that regime were sent to Azkaban, hunted like animals and traded for sums of gold. And it was common for children of opponents of this puppet government to be kidnapped, tortured, and even killed. That way the parents would follow the example and understand which side they should defend. Just like many Death Eaters and prejudiced wizards and witches who denied their true origin, ancestry, and connection with Muggles. Dolores Umbridge was not a pure-blood witch either. She wasn't even descended from the family she claimed. Her father was Orford Umbridge, a wizard who married a Muggle named Ellen Cracknell. Besides Umbridge's mother being a Muggle, her brother was a squib. So from an early age they were despised by Dolores, who at 15 cut off any kind of relationship with the two of them. Being very opportunistic and thirsty for power, Dolores Umbridge was ashamed of her father, who was a low-ranking worker at the Ministry of Magic working in the Department of Magical Maintenance. And while she pursued a prestigious professional career at the ministry, she forced her father to retire early, keeping him on a small allowance to keep him out of the picture. So, from that moment on, she started to make up her family tree, claiming that she descended from completely pure-blood wizarding families. But some co-workers who didn't like her would usually ask if she wasn't the daughter of old Orford, who used to clean the floors at the Ministry of Magic. And she would sweetly deny any relation to that wizard. But unpleasant things used to happen to those people. So, a lot of people pretended to believe the version Dolores Umbridge told about her ancestry. Unfortunately, during the time Umbridge headed the Muggle-born Registration Commission, many of them were killed. Either in ambushes like Ted Tonks, or they ended up not surviving Azkaban. Since the Dementors were completely out of control and no longer followed any orders, the prisoners were a feast for them. After getting away with her crimes as High Inquisitor of Hogwarts, Umbridge remained comfortable after Voldemort's defeat in May of 1998, thinking she would get away with it again and keep some position at the Ministry of Magic. However, she had no idea that with the government reform, after Kingsley Shacklebolt was elected Minister of Magic, she would be investigated and held accountable for her crimes. Dolores Umbridge was arrested and sent to Azkaban as a preventive measure, where she awaited her trial at the Wizengamot. Just like other Ministry of Magic employees who, during Voldemort's puppet government, committed crimes as well as Death Eaters and Snatchers. On the day of Dolores Umbridge's trial at the end of the year 1998, she was taken to the Ministry of Magic to receive her sentence from the Wizengamot. But with the help of wanted Death Eaters who had not yet been captured, such as Corbin Yaxley, Alecto, and Amicus Caro, and Walden McNair, she managed to recover her wand and escape from the two Aurors who were restraining her. This caused great chaos in the Ministry of Magic because Umbridge, along with those Death Eaters who were helping her escape, invaded several departments, breaking through the Ministry of Magic's security. One such department was the Department of Magical Creatures, where several creatures escaped and caused a major commotion. The people who were present to watch Umbridge's trial were attacked by her and the Death Eaters. But the forces of the Ministry of Magic mobilized in this battle against Umbridge in an attempt to restore her power and her comfortable position. During Voldemort's puppet government, Umbridge invades the Department of Mysteries, specifically the Time Turner Room, which was destroyed in the Battle of 1996 to try to fix one of the Time Turners and go back in time, trying to restore the previous months when Voldemort was in power. However, Harry Potter and Ron Weasley, who were training as Aurors at the Ministry of Magic, and Hermione Granger, who was present to attend the trial, joined the fight against the Death Eaters and Dolores, along with Hegold, Dolores Umbridge's former house elf, who steals the wand from her old mistress and thus helps capture her. After all the turmoil and confusion, magical creatures like a giant erumpent released by the Ministry of Magic and some injured people, Umbridge and the Death Eaters were contained and she was taken to trial. Kingsley Shacklebolt and the Supreme Court of Wizards sentenced Dolores Jane Umbridge to life imprisonment in Azkaban, and her wand was destroyed. And this was the more than deserved end of the toad-faced pink cow, Dolores Jane Umbridge. All the content in this video is based on official information. The information about Umbridge's past comes from the text published on the official website itself. Harry Potter, formerly Pottermore, by J.K. Rowling. The books in a post-books interview with the author confirm that Umbridge received a life sentence. This confusion and escape attempt stem from the new Epic Universe attraction at Universal's latest park, featuring Harry Potter's Ministry of Magic. There we follow the entire event from Umbridge's trial to her escape, so it's canonical information. So, did you like the fate that Dolores Umbridge got? I think it's very fitting that she spends the rest of her life in prison. If you liked this episode, leave a like and share your thoughts in the comments. Your comments are always welcome. See you next episode. Mischief managed.